Eyes on the target. No, no. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. I'll never run. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. They say I'm dangerous 'cause I broke all their cages. No, I won't sit and take it. No, no. They left me for dead, I guess I'll never learn. Every time I break, there's just more pain to burn. They'll never, never, never learn. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. I'll never run. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. I'll never run.
You are now on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 4th episode of the Havoc Esports Official Podcast. Benji, my lovely co-host, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. Today we have an awesome special guest in that of Taz. Taz, what's going on, man?
Oh, it's going good, man. It's been a while since I've been on stream, but I'm kind of back now, so gonna kind of get a background story about me. You know.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
yeah, I'll go into it. Basically, kind of
Yeah.
starting back, it was like multiple years ago. Kind of went into, like, I've been in Rocket League for a long time, right? So
Yeah.
and then I went to getting into Havoc and
Mhm.
kind of, I think I started out playing on a team back when it was like 8 teams, if that. So like everybody was kind of bad than Havoc, and then
Yep.
kind of started talking to Luke and got into being more on the staff team, and we started kind of redoing stuff because I talked with him a lot, and kind of started meeting you guys, like Panda. I think you were around back then. I don't know if Benji was.
I was.
You were.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
I've been
for
around
a long time.
I've been around since the beginning.
Kinda-
I'm pretty sure, as far as
Right.
Havoc goes.
I kind
Yeah,
of get lost track because, like, I mean,
I kind of started
there's
this
been
company.
so many people in the server now. Don't even know half of them.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, then just kind of started building on my, I guess, like being a staff member here, and started really helping out with the stream and like pushing our stream forward. And then we started kind of getting more teams as we built up the stream, and that kind of came. I did a lot of producing, so like I was the guy behind the streams, which I eventually got burned out, but that's kind of like where I've been lately. I kind of took a break. Probably didn't really notice though, because that's kind of like behind the scenes kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of from here up until this point. I'm kind of coming back since I got myself situated financially and can kind of help out more.
Yeah, so I'm like, obviously you'd taken a break, and you say that it probably wasn't like that noticeable or whatever. But as somebody who also helps, kind of, I guess you could say, like run things around here, I will say that it was extremely noticeable when everybody else had to pick up a lot of extra work whenever you took your little hiatus. But what now that you're kind of coming back around, like what exactly are you planning on doing and picking up responsibilities wise now that you're back?
Yeah, I think after kind of getting burnout of putting the streams on, I kind of realized more I want to be more like planning out moving forward, like like pushing us, and not really like a Monday job of just putting the stream on. So I kind of came back and have been trying to like think above, like coming up with like all these new things we've been working on behind the scenes here, and kind of like giving goals for people to shoot for, and really pushing ourselves beyond just, like, oh, we're just kind of a league. We're kind of just investing our own money, but trying to push ourselves into becoming like a full business at some point, and like be able to actually have, a full staff team and host major tournaments, or even work with Psionics at some point, kind of thing. And I feel like I have a better role of like being more of a leader, I guess, in this situation, after kind of taking on those lower roles for a long time. But of course, like I can still hop in and do some video editing, or make a kind of weird thumbnail for a YouTube video. But I definitely think I would fit best towards the top.
What's
Yeah, no,
belong
I
on my
think-
top? Sorry.
I
My
think
bad.
that you do have like a pretty good understanding of how it all works, and I think that you, in more of a planning role, and a management. I say management like loosely, but less of like the actual physical work of it, and more of the overhead and like oversight of it all. I think that you probably are a way better fit in that sort of a role than what you were doing before, and probably will lead to a lot less burnout than what you were doing before. But you also had a lot of responsibilities that you had taken on before, so I think that combination of those two things probably got pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
like our streamer guy, our video editor, our photo editor. It was a lot. So, definitely see why you got burnt out. But I feel like you're more in a position now where you can do your own stuff, and necessarily not having to be responsible for everything, but you could still do stuff that you were doing in the past, just not necessarily like required to do it, which is definitely better.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm definitely more into like playing out stuff, because I feel like I'm better, like you said, managing people and kind of connecting people and making sure, like, hey, how's that part going? How's that part going? And kind of bringing it together. And especially like with probably towards the end of the season, when we're going to start trying to get more people, and like get more onto like specific, oh, you're only going to do like this one thing so we can really bring more quality overall within our staff and not like throwing everything on Benji or throwing everything on me, throwing everything on Luke kind of thing. So I definitely think it's going to be exciting come around the next season of Havoc.
Indubitably. Sorry.
Indubitably.
Big vocab, my bad.
Do you have any like aspirations for yourself, like as a player, like outside of like Havoc stuff? Do you ever?
Oh,
I mean, obviously we all kind of play the game, but do you have any competitive aspects or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I definitely as any extra time is going to playing competitively. Like, I did recently take a pretty big break at the game, but I definitely still want to play competitively as a player, and try my best to. I know it's kind of hard to play in Havoc, but also push myself outside. And I know like I have an interesting Havoc career. Of I started out in Academy with my boy Clarky and Loki, and went on. I think it was like a perfect run through Academy, but then here comes me. Oh, I made it to main league, yeah.
Yep,
And
you did.
Nope. I get. What did I have? D Chop and what was my third? Can't remember the other guy, but anyway, we went on the complete opposite. We lost every match of our series, so I definitely have some records that I don't think anyone's gonna break within the Hav community, but I definitely love to still play competitively and kind of get on the field like everyone else does here and there.
For sure, I think it's good to be still like involved with it all, on a player side as well. I think it's just healthy to, especially when you're growing a community like Havoc. I think it's good for if you're somebody who's like new to the community, seeing the people who run it be involved and playing at the same level as you. I think that's really beneficial overall.
Exactly. It's like even like you think you'd be good, but then I get in there and we've got some crazy good teams. So it's always kind of fun to just kind of see where you stacked up against all these teams.
Absolutely. So Taz, obviously you're a big Rocket League fan. Did you get a chance to watch Rocket League today? We had the Winter Cup quarterfinals that we're playing on today.
I did. I watched a few of the first.
Did you watch
ones.
G2 win?
I did.
Me too.
I saw Game 7 of G2 and like a couple before that, and that was a pretty good matchup. It's definitely an interesting Winter Cup with, what was it, like 3 reverse sweeps coming out of
Yeah, NRG or not.
and then Energy getting reverse swept in round 1. But there's definitely some interesting stuff in the quarterfinals. If you want to talk about that, Panda.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I only got to catch the very end of G2 versus Space Station. G2 versus SSG went all the way to Game 7 overtime, but I did catch the entirety of that Game 7 and the entirety of the overtime. Unfortunately, I didn't catch the whole series. I got going late this morning and just joined part of the way through the series, but that was a pretty close series, especially when you go to Game 7 overtime. I mean, that's the very, very maximum that you can get it to. Luckily, G2 came out with a win there, and I'm glad that they did. Obviously, 2 extremely high-level teams. Talking about the Rocket League professional scene, I pretty much had G2 pinned there to take a win off of SSG. I just think that they've been playing a little bit more consistently than Space Station has been. Do y'all kind of share that opinion at all?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. One of the biggest teams that I really have noticed that have been underperforming is version 1. Because there was a lot of stuff that was happening before the season with like, is Beast Mode gonna leave? Is Calm gonna leave? Because those like last second roster moves, and none of it actually came through. But I feel like that kind of affected them still because they got top 8 at the fall major, which is a pretty good result. But now they've gotten 2 finishes in 9th through 12th, and I think they're sitting at like 11th place on the North American winter rankings. Yeah, they're sitting at 12th. So they basically have to win the next tournament, I think, to qualify for the winter major. So they're definitely not looking good, and they should have been looking good. But Other than that, M80 is probably the biggest surprise, and also Dignitas, who are performing really well above what anybody thought they would.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Kind of moving into our next topic, in that of M80, I think kind of surprised quite a bit of people. Maybe not. I don't know. I haven't really been giving them much credit just because I feel like, M80 is consistent of Percy, Kinsey, and Lion Blaze. I feel like Lion Blaze has been around.
He's had a lot of controversy, especially with his last team. I think it was Luminosity or Ghost. One of the teams, he just wasn't showing up to practice. When he did, he was super late, and he was super negative around the team. So he definitely has had a troubled past, and to see him come back with a team made up of Percy and Kinsey was kind of set aside on a couple teams. He was with him in Luminosity, and then Percy also with him, or was in Exed. And so it's definitely like a couple outsiders that kind of just got left over from the roster, and they're coming in here and making really big strides in the North American scene, which is at this point the probably the most diverse and well-rounded region we have, besides Gen G winning every tournament. But there's so many contenders for top fours that it's kind of crazy to see them contend for a top four, especially with Dignitas there as well.
No, I agree. That's kind of what I was getting at with M80. Like, I didn't really give them much credit just based on who their roster was. Like, Lion Blaze, I feel like, has been on the outskirts of the pro scene for so long, and he kind of feels like that guy who would never really break into, a top 8 or a top 4 team. So to see them start actually doing so well, or Lion Blaze more specifically, obviously, kids say Percy are their own person, but I kind of look at Lion Blaze kind of as like the focal point, and I think that kind of shows in their play as well. I think Lion Blaze kind of, brings that team together. I don't think that Percy or Kinsey necessarily on their own carry too much weight for that team. I think it's mostly Lion Blaze. So to see them actually start doing really well, I think is a really good thing, and really good for people that kind of get stuck in this like outskirts of the pro Rocket League scene for an extended period of time. Shows that he can still play at an extremely competitive level. So yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess some other mainstays. I feel like G2 is still performing really well with their roster. FaZe Clan performing pretty well. I didn't think they did too well in the first tournament, but still have a good chance of qualifying. Space Station are kind of just a team that floats around. Sometimes they do really good. They're kind of like a on-the-day team, so they have the chance to win a tournament, but also they can just bomb out. And then the two South American move-alongs, Furia and Complexity, kind of underperforming in my mind, especially Furia, who played super well at the World Championship, top 4 beating Moist in that series, which was incredible. So seeing them still kind of not find their footing in the winter split is a little bit rough, but I think they still can rebound. But definitely a lot of potential here. But Gen G's still definitely the clear favorite, as they're going to try and win their like 3rd tournament in a row or something. So pretty good for them.
Yeah. That was a big thing. You were talking about the South American teams. That was a big thing that surprised me, was M80 sweeping Furia 3-0 in the first round of the playoffs. I guess I give Furia too much credit just because of what I know that their potential is, and then I wasn't really suspecting M80 to do so great. But M80 making a really good run against Furia, and then earlier today when they played Gen G, the first 3 games really didn't go M80's way, but they were all 1-goal games. I think game 1 was a 2-1 overtime that Gen G took, and then games 2 and 3 were 1-0 for Gen G. And all that's 3 losses in a row. I mean, that's still all they're all 1-goal games. I mean, those aren't blowouts by any means. That's just a 1-goal difference from win or loss. So
yeah, it's I think M80, especially the last tournament, beating FaZe Clan in 4 games in a best of 5. Really, really good results from them. Dignitas, as I said before, but Complexity, I'd say they're the best South American team right now. I wouldn't consider them South American anymore with CRR especially, but South American base team, and I think they have a good chance. I think they're probably going to make it to the LAN, but the Winter Major, it's in San Diego, right? I think it's...
Yep.
Yeah.
San Diego DreamHack as well, so
Oh, okay.
there'll be other tournaments going on as well.
Yeah, it's definitely... I think the biggest storyline is if Gen G can continue their really, really good form for the past 4 months or so.
Exactly. And do you think, got like a couple questions brewing here. So I
Alright.
find it funny that M80, their logo is kind of like referencing like Dynamite. And I saw on Twitter today they averaged like 5 demos a game against Gen G. So do you think that maybe they're kind of playing like that purposely, or they just kind of do it for fun to kind of play off of their M80 logo?
I don't know. I mean,
You
like,
think-
you know what an M80 is, right? Like,
You think
have
you think
ever-
they're doing it because their logo is dynamite?
Well,
Exactly.
wait, have either of you actually used M80s, like the fireworks?
Oh, I
It's
thought it
like,
was.
it's an actual
It's like,
like thing. It's like this big around and like this tall, and little red tubes, and they're called M80s. They're like probably like the most scary like firework that you like throw from your hand. Because you
Oh.
remember like the tiny little firecrackers
Is it the ones that
like,
pop
you
up?
used to have?
Those are the ones I know. The ones you throw and they go.
No, not the ones that you throw on the ground. No, those are
Oh.
little
he's talking
like
like
snap crackle pop
like
things.
Oh,
Black Cat firecrackers, whatever.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
But it's an M80 is like
Much bigger.
quite a large one that like I mean if you were to hold it in your hand and line it off, then it
They're-
would probably blow all your fingers off. I mean they're pretty scary, powerful for their size. But yeah, no, that's what an M80 is. So I think obviously the organization itself, shaped their logo into that on purpose because of what an M80 is. Now I don't know about their play style though, if that maybe could be, but I also think it kind of ties into kind of where like the 1v1 meta has gone like in recent times. I think there's been a lot more physicality in ones, and you
Yeah.
have two like long time like ones players in like Kinze and Lion Blaze that are part of that team, and I think maybe they just bring that naturally to the playstyle, but
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like an on
I
purpose
mean,
or
You got Abjack on Gen G, and I think Chronic was a ones player that are really, really high level ones players, so it really wouldn't affect them because, same
They're
meta.
used to that.
So, exactly. But I feel like we're shifting more towards players that can play ones at least consistently, like Optic with AJ, Finn with First Killer. You have a base that can play ones really well. I think Beast Mode's high level ones player on version 1. G2 has Atomic, who high level ones player. Chicago's up there, I think. So ones is kind of, if you can transition your ones plays into 3v3, it's really, really good for high level gameplay.
I agree, 100%. And then you were talking about on version 1. What did you just say? That, did
Beast
once?
mode? Beast mode.
Beast mode, but also Calm as well. I mean, Calm historically for years has been at the top of the one scene as well. You're seeing that a lot more nowadays, as you have these 1v1 prodigies that like start out their career being really good at ones and then start transitioning over to threes. I think that's kind of more the more typical route nowadays, instead of you climbing your way through the Rocket League 6-man ladder and getting discovered that way. I think a lot of people have been grinding out ones and landing their way on the teams that way. But speaking of, you mentioned Abjack and Gen G. Moving on to our next topic, what's your opinion, Taz, about how they performed today?
I mean, they've just looked dominant. I'm gonna be honest. Like last
Phenomenal,
regional,
if you will.
they were dominant and just kind of closing out the M80 series after them actually showing up those last 2 games, but they closed it out in that 6-1. I mean, I think they're gonna have a pretty good matchup against Complexity.
Yeah.
But I think they've done it before, so I think they're gonna at least make it to grand final. And I don't know if they're gonna win grand finals, but they're definitely gonna.
I think they're already qualified for
Right.
the what's it called, the LAN as well, because of their placement. Like they're the top
GG.
team by a far shot. Yeah, I mean, look at it.
Yeah,
Actually.
no.
Yeah.
When they won against M80, that was their.
Yeah,
That was all that they needed to make.
they
the
have
major.
32 points already, which
Yeah.
is halfway through the second cup, which is kind of insane. The
So
next
at
team
this
has
point,
28. So
They're playing for money.
Well, do
Yeah.
y'all think that do you think that the series today against M80 kind of goes to hurt Gen G's reputation? Because I mean, had M80 won, that would have been a massive upset, and I think a lot of people were expecting either a 4-0 or a 4-1, but to see M80 in the second half of that series start to make a pretty convincing look at a reverse sweep, I mean, do y'all think that goes to show anything against either for M80 or against Gen G?
I think it necessarily. I don't think it shows how bad Genji are, or if they're getting worse. It just shows how good the competition is getting, or at least it getting better. Because Genji, they just are on a tear right now, constantly going 3-1, 4-1, 4-0, stuff like that. So if you can slowly eke your way to get a couple more wins, while it seems tiny, especially from I wouldn't call it M80 tier 2, but they're definitely not the top of the top of NA. Seeing that they can get at least 2 wins gives hope that a team like G2 or a team like Complexity can get at least 3 or even win the series against Genji. So it shows how, much depth NA has at the moment right now.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree with that, where it kind of just shows like M80 kind of showed up that day, but then again Genji did kind of still keep him off. So it's kind of, I feel like it's hard being that first or second team, because you have a lot to uphold. You're not trying to eat away or try to take down that top team when you're below everyone. So I feel like it's very hard to sustain being at the top. So I think the fact that they're still doing that through the second regional and already qualified for LAN, they're just looking phenomenal.
I think so too. I'm kind of curious. What do you guys think? I believe is it tomorrow that they're playing the quarterfinals and semifinals for the Winter Cup? Looking at the bracket, we just had the 2 semifinals and then the grand final. Semifinals will have G2 versus FaZe Clan. I personally have G2 winning that, and then Genji versus Complexity, I have Genji winning that. I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on that, Taz?
I would agree. Probably I would go Genji there, and then FaZe and G2. I mean, it's the FaZe curse. They lose the top 4. So
Fourth killer. Yep.
Yeah, I was waiting for Benji to say 4th killer. That's his motto at this point.
G2 is just always consistent, and they're still running the same roster. They still got their insane team plays, so they're definitely making grand final for sure.
I agree. So, in grand final, you have Genji versus G2. I mean, do you think that there's any possibility that G2 can knock down the Titans that are Genji right now?
I think they can. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I do believe G2 have the potential to be the best team in the world. Now, hear me out on this one. G2, they got JNAPS. JNAPS has been, in my opinion, the best shooter in the world for years. He's literally does not miss. And when he's on, he specifically carries G2 just 3 games. Chicago is that impact player who just randomly pops off, but he's always playing good, so you never see him as a problem. He used to be a really big problem because he just hit the crossbar all the time, but now he's had years of experience. And then he got Atomic, man. He's I think he got top 10. I think everybody on G2 was in the top 20 last year for the best players in the world. I think they were probably all top 15. They were just that good as a team. And I do believe that they're going to repeat that. They had a really rough fall split, but they're going to bring it back here. They're going to win this tournament, and they're going to go, and they're going to win Winter Major. That's my prediction. That's what I believe is going to happen.
I mean, you don't have to convince me, dude. I'm probably the world's biggest G2 fanboy.
Nah, that's me.
I don't know how realistic the hope is that Genji take the Winter Cup, but I mean, if there's anybody I'm rooting for, it's G2 till the day I die. But also, my favorite pro player is apparently Jack. So if Genji continue their win streak, I'll be extremely happy. Did you just facepalm?
I'm really mad about that. How are you from North America and your favorite pro players are European? How does that make any sense?
Okay. North America now.
Honestly,
he's not North American now.
Yeah, he's in and out. But honestly, I think that apparently Jack has probably the best mindset and personality.
He is pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie, he's a top 5.
Dude, I would smooch him so hard. Unquestionably.
You got me there, but as a pro player, nah. I'm not gonna lie, he's definitely not. He's not even the best player. He's not even the best player on Genji. Nolly? Nah, I don't even want to talk about him, but Dude, I will talk about Nolly. No hate to Nolly, but he is so ugly, and all he does is post photos of himself.
There is no way that Joyo exists and you're calling Nolly ugly.
Dude, his face is not made to be photographized. It's actually crazy. He has this EU face that he's from the UK. He's like that. That's all, in every photo. He looks like that, and I'm like,
But
dude.
I think that Jack and Chronic together are both hot enough that they carry the overall
Yeah,
looks of that team.
let me pull up a photo of Nolly. Let me see if I can.
But for real, like apparently Jack has like one of the best personalities of like anybody in the pro scene that I've ever met, and I think as a player has like one of the best mindsets. How often do you see Jack like tilted or like
Holy, look at this.
not optimistic?
What the heck is that? Why is his face shaped like that?
Bro,
I hate it.
he looks like he's out of the Harry Potter universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's not
He looks
working.
like a 2023 Harry Potter, actually.
Exactly.
Not gonna lie. With his hair and his glasses now, he looks like
Holy, this is even worse. Why does he look like that? I'm sorry. I'm D1 hating right now. That's on me.
dude.
We should move on to the next topic.
Nolly's gonna find this video. He's gonna find this video and attack you, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to our next topic, we're gonna talk about the Havoc main league prediction. We have the Havoc main league playoffs for Split 2, right? I'm not butchering that.
We do.
Yeah. Okay, so that
Maybe.
is happening pretty much immediately after this podcast tonight. So the
Make sure to
top-
watch that.
Yes, make sure to watch. The top 8 from Split 2 Havoc main league are playing. So we're gonna have quarterfinals all the way through the grand finals. So Taz, who do you talk about your predictions a little bit?
Let's hear him, Taz.
Yeah. I haven't really watched a whole lot of the teams this season, but I do kind of know some of the rosters here and there. It was kind of interesting to see like Digital Threat come out on top after being kind of like they placed pretty low the first split. So definitely credit to them for the improvement there. And so for my predictions for first one, I gave it to Digital Threat. Furor is a newer team because they joined this split, so I think they just don't have the experience of playing in our leagues as much. So I kind of gave it to Digital Threat, 3-1 there. And then Final Four White versus Havoc Orange. I don't think there's going to be any competition there. It's just going to be Final Four White showing up, 3-0, clean sweep. Sloth Dark versus Aura. I think this could go either way. Sloth Dark just has like really good team skill. They've been a roster for quite a while from what I know. But Aura on the other hand, you've got Volkenzi, you got Deluxe Drew.
Oh, the goats.
They casters and they also stream, so they got a lot of experience this game. But I think Sloth Dark is just gonna edge them out by a little bit with the 3-2 because they got that team skill. And then Havoc Gold versus Havoc Red.
Havoc Gold. Taking that one. 3-0.
Yeah, Havoc Gold 3-1. I think Red. I think Red's
Bro,
gonna
he has
give
Gold
him
losing a
one
game.
game.
His goal getting scored on. That's the wilding part to me.
Look, man, you can't put.
Where do you have Team White? Where do you have Team White?
Because we're not in it. We're not playing. Havoc
Oh,
hasn't-
You didn't make it. What are you talking about?
I forgot about that,
You
bro.
dropped out.
I forgot.
Bro, you didn't show up enough weeks that we just had too many forfeits.
Oh,
Now we have to do the last chance qualifiers like we're some.
Oh, who are? Who do you think we are? Mm.
but yeah, those are my
But-
first round.
Wait, who's Havoc Red? Oh, that's Wash's
It's
team.
Gabe.
Wash, Spragu, Miggy, and sub is Nemesis.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think Gold loses a game there.
I don't know.
I'm already. You're not even halfway through your prediction. And I'm already like fighting you.
Gold can be. I don't know. They can pull some stuff. That's all I'm saying. So then Final Form versus Digital Threat. Credit to Digital Threat, but Final Form 3-0. They're just better. That's about all you could say there. Soft Dark versus Havoc Gold. I know I said that that the last team took one off of them, but I think Soft Dark will actually take one game off of them just because they might pull through one match, but I still have them 3-1-ing. So that gives us a Final Form White, which versus Havoc Gold, which is basically roughly our top 2 teams, give or take. But I have that going like all the way, and Final Form White kind of closing it out in a game 5 on the last best of 3.
That's wild. Benji,
I-
he has Final Form White beating Team
Oh
Gold.
my. Holy balls, man. Who do you think you
Final
are?
Form White is Avdiel's team, bro. It's Avdiel's. There's no way that Avdiel takes it seriously enough to actually win.
I would never root against a Mexican. That's all I'm gonna say. He's got more. He's got more power than we know.
All right, he's gonna show up at my house, bro, and beat me if I don't predict this. Okay.
I guess I'll talk about my predictions here. So you had Digital Threat 3-1ing Fury Esports in the quarterfinal. I actually have Digital at 3-0ing Fury. I just don't think that Digital Threat should lose a game there. Final Form White versus Havoc Orange. You had them. You had Final Form White sweeping Havoc Orange. I have Havoc Orange taking a game. I don't know why. Probably I just wanted to be different than your predictions.
Trying to be
'cause
different.
your
Huh?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be different.
You.
Sloth Dark versus Aura. This is my first different prediction. You had Sloth Dark 3-2ing Aura. I have Aura 3-2ing Sloth Dark actually, because Aura. I mean, dude, that's Deluxe Drew, Volkenzi Survivor. I mean, those are the goats right there. I mean, dude,
I got a lot to uphold
just-
for sure.
dude, but they're all like really good players, I think, as well, and I think that they mesh really well together. I think that overall they're probably the better team. And then Havoc Gold versus Havoc Red. I obviously have Havoc Gold sweeping that. Moving on to the semifinals, Digital Threat versus Final Form White. I have Final Form White 3-1ing Digital Threat, which you had Final Form White sweeping Digital Threat, so not far off on that prediction there. And then you have Aura versus Havoc Gold in the other semifinals. I actually have Aura taking 2 games off of Havoc Gold.
Really?
I think that if Aura plays their game, I think that Havoc Gold probably won't take them seriously enough, because that's kind of Cosmic's thing to do, is just not take something as seriously as it needs to be. And then
So
moving
you
on
have-
to
That's
the
a
grand
rank A
final.
player. I don't know if you're talking about that.
It's a rank A
He
player when
takes
he
it
cares about playing the game. Me like all respect to Cosmic, because Cosmic is a great player and far better than any of us probably will ever be. But Cosmic's mindset is not at the same level of his gameplay. So if he's not invested in the game as much as he wants to be, then I don't think that team will pull through as much as they need to. I think he'll clutch up, but that's about it. And then moving on to the grand finals, I think that Havoc Gold win 2-1. I see Final Form probably will in a game 5. I think Final Form in the first series will take them 3-2 in a game 5, and then Havoc Gold will 3-1 them in the second series and sweep them in the third series to close it up, since it is a best of 3, best of 5. What do you not agree, Benji?
I think Team White's gonna win 4-1 this series. I'm not gonna lie. I got them winning the entire tournament. I don't even care about any other match. Team White. Team White consisting of me, you, Bubs. That's all we need to know. Taz is the sub. We'll be good.
You want to talk about the matches you didn't show up to?
We don't need to.
Are you sure?
You know,
I feel like-
Muhammad Ali would not box a rookie. That's the mentality I have. I'm not gonna box a bunch of
What is
rookies.
that analogy?
Am I wrong though?
I mean, sure, but what is that even? How's that relevant?
I'm just saying, dude. Buzz Lightyear would not fight the aliens on the stupid otherworld planet. He's gonna go to the real world and fight all the real people.
The aliens were in Pizza Planet, bro. They were in the vending machine, weren't they? Not the vending machine, the claw machine. You know the 3 little alien dudes?
I think he's talking
Right?
about the.
Am I
the
crazy?
last
They were
one.
in Pizza
No.
Planet.
The claw, yeah, I remember that. They could
Yeah,
go grab.
that was in the Pizza Planet. That
I thought that's the Rocket League podcast.
It is. It's a
This is
Rocket League
Disney
podcast
show.
that we're gonna start wrapping
Yeah.
up here, because we do have Havoc mainly split 2 playoffs coming up right after this. But I do want to give a couple quick shout outs to people. Actually, before that, Taz, do you have anything you want to end off with? I'll give you the floor to say anything. Shout yourself out, your social, all that good stuff.
Just follow me on Twitter, honestly. I've been kind of pretty active on there lately. That's about it. I randomly post YouTube videos sometimes. My Instagram I post sometimes. For the most part, they're all under either Tyler Olson or my Tazaro. So, Yeah, and again, great to be back, and thanks for having me on the podcast. It was fun talking with you all and such. Really liked it.
Of course.
It's
Yeah,
always
thank
it's always a
thank
pleasure,
you.
Tazaro. It's always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
for sure. I appreciate you. You've been an awesome guest. It's been great having these conversations with you. Definitely, probably one of our funniest podcasts. I feel like that we've done so far. Quite a bit of laughs. But thank you for being an awesome guest, Taz, Benji. As always, thank you for being an awesome co-host. Glad to have you back this week.
No problem. I'll be here anytime.
All right, sounds good. A couple quick shout outs to Luke, as always, doing the production for us, CEO of Havoc. Does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Lazy Wazy, or Izzy Wizzy, he goes by both, is also instrumental in making sure that social media is kept up to date with all of that good stuff and helping us out with the podcast. And then Tim the Bull, making sure that we get all of our podcasts uploaded to the proper social media accounts, and making sure that our stream was set up with YouTube and all that stuff. As always, you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, and pretty much anything that you listen to podcasts at. But make sure, don't just stick around. We're going to have the Havoc Main League Split 2 playoffs on right after this. But with that, we'll be finishing up the podcast, and thank you everybody for listening.